Hello, good evening. I'm Anna Kalczyńska and this is World Talks, where every word matters. Germany set to hold early elections February next year following Chancellor Olaf Scholz governing coalition collapse. His government fell after months of wrangling between the two parties and the coalition partner Neoliberal Free Democrats, who demanded cut spending on a scale their left-wing partners were unwilling to countenance. And joining me tonight is Łukasz Jasiński, Germany analyst, Polish Institute of International Affairs. Good evening.
Good evening.
So the calendar is known. December, vote of confidence, and most probably February, early election. So Friedrich Merz, Germany's opposition leader, is gunning for Olaf Scholz's position as Germany's chancellor. This fate seems clear. What is the certainty that it's Friedrich Merz who's going to take the lead?
Well, the CDU, so the Christian Democrats, are in a very good and favorable position now. First and foremost, according to all the opinion polls, CDU has a very solid support of over 30%, which gives them, of course, this number one in the opinion polls. Furthermore, CDU won the European elections in this summer, the elections to the European Parliament, which also showed how strong this support is. And last but not least, CDU seems to be best prepared for these new elections because in comparison to other political parties, they have a new political platform, a new program. What is more, Friedrich Merz was also officially announced as a candidate for the chancellor. In comparison to the CDU-CSU, so the Christian Democrats, for instance, the Social Democrats, so the SPD, are in a much weaker position. They have nor the political platform. They have neither the political platform nor the candidate for the chancellor, because Olaf Scholz is was not officially announced as a candidate for the next chancellor, and there are still some discussions among the SPD what to do. So it seems that really Friedrich Merz has the best position right now, according to the opinion polls. But the question is how big this election victory will be, and what kind of coalition will be necessary for Merz to build.
I would like to ask you about a possible change of policy in Germany, but that will come next. First, let's establish the facts, why the coalition even broke up. We know the general reasons, as I stated before, but what was the immediate trigger, and how can the new coalition form itself to last?
This main trigger were the elections in free lands, so Saxony, Thuringia and Brandenburg, that took part in September this year. During these elections, especially the Greens and the FDP, so the Liberals, suffered a dismal failure. And in my opinion, this was this point in which the FDP's leader, so Christian Lindner, decided that it is no longer in the interest of his party to still remain in the coalition. Therefore, he decided to he established many moves in order to provoke Chancellor Scholz of letting him off the coalition, in which he eventually succeeded. It was a discussion, there were a series of discussions, negotiations concerning the level of government spending, different ways and different views how to stimulate the German struggling economy. But I suppose that this very last reason was simply lack of confidence and lack of trust between the leaders of three parties.
Okay, so what about the CDU right now and the perspective of the new elections? Do you think that Friedrich Merz is simply able to secure enough of confidence among his coalition so that he can really establish a sound and profound unity to form a government that will last?
Well, I think that main goal of Friedrich Merz right now is to gain such a big victory for the CDU and CSU in order to create a two-party coalition, which will be much more stable than a three-party coalition that failed last week. When it comes to creating a sense of optimism, the opinion polls are quite pessimistic for Friedrich Merz, actually. According to one of the opinion polls made for the ARD, so the main German television program broadcaster, only 23% were in favor of the opinion that the government led by the CDU will be much better in solving German problems than the current government run still by Chancellor Scholz. I suppose that when Friedrich Merz wins the election and will be able to create a coalition, probably it will be either a coalition with the SPD, so with Social Democrats, or with the Greens. So I think that after establishing this coalition, of course, he will get some kind of small credit of trust from the German public opinion. But the problem is that during these turbulent times that we are having today, such credit of confidence, such support is very weak and can fade away very shortly.
Okay, and how about the right wing? I mean, the FDD, the AFD, and Sarah Wagenknecht. Are they really out of the possibility of entering a coalition, or do you predict that it somehow could happen?
AFD will remain completely isolated in the Bundestag. This is a far-right, radical, undemocratic party, and there is, from my point of view, no chance that CDU or other, so to speak, mainstream political party will be willing to cooperate with the AFD. When it comes to Sarah Wagenknecht's party or her alliance, the situation is that there are some scenarios in which probably there could be some kind of attempt of negotiations with Wagenknecht. However, from our point of view, which I regard as, frankly speaking, quite positive thing, the problem of this party is that it is a relatively new movement, established in January this year. Some analysts and scientists regard it and name this party as a political startup, which means that in many places in Germany, they have barely any structures, which will make conducting a successful campaign almost impossible. But from our Polish point of view, I think that the poor performance of Sarah Wagenknecht's alliance would be a good news.
Yes, so that brings us to our Polish perspective, as you said. Given the volatility and the fragile situation worldwide, Poland needs a strong German partner. But do you think there's a hope for that? I mean, is there a possibility of changing the German optics as to granting more weapons to Ukraine, granting more financial support, and simply taking the lead in the EU in the fight with Russia?
Well, definitely Friedrich Merz will be much more willing to give some impulse on the European level, on the level of the EU as whole, than Chancellor Scholz, who eventually occurred to be simply a very weak leader. However, the problem is that it seems for me that the ideas of Merz when it comes to war in Ukraine still remain very vague and unclear. Of course, from our point of view, he puts an accent on the Weimar Triangle, so cooperation with France, with Poland. He seems to be more hawkish towards Russia than Scholz was, but everything will be decided by the financial situation in Germany, which is unclear and can be can occur to be even more pessimistic next year than it is today. And the second very big question is, of course, what will Donald Trump and his new administration do with regards to war in Ukraine? Because Friedrich Merz can have a lot of ideas and a lot of will, but eventually, if Donald Trump would try to make some kind of, quote, deal with Putin above the heads of not only Ukrainians, but also the EU, Germany, and so on, and then it will be a completely new and very difficult situation for this new government that will still be in the phase of creation.
Łukasz Jasiński, thank you very much for your comments and sharing your analysis with us. Thank you for watching. This was World Talks, but stay tuned for more as the news unfolds.